A musician from Canada, and today I am going to bring you a live review of Destiny 2. Now, this is going to be just kind of all over the place because it's live and I don't really have experience doing reviews, so I'm just going to say what kind of speaks to me. I'm going to try and avoid any campaign spoilers and stuff like that, but I'll do my best. I can't promise anything. So, as a musician just starting off, the music in this game, to me, is way better than even the first game. Like, the first game did a competent job of, like, doing great music that really got you into the plot, but this game just has so much unique music that is kind of different in a lot of ways from the first game, and it really sells the atmosphere, makes you feel really invested in the story and what's going on. Like, the music definitely helps sell everything. Campaign-wise, I haven't finished the campaign because I've been just kind of dicking around and doing whatever, but so far the campaign, although it's kind of, you know, cliche, it's been enjoyable. Like, I've kind of snickered at points. Other points I've kind of gone like, oh, that's really hokey and cheesy. But I've enjoyed it. And the fact that I haven't even finished it speaks really, really well to what the game is doing. Which is just getting the player invested in it. Now, I'm not going to say it's a huge leap ahead of the first game. Like, there are things that, you know, kind of reoccur from the first game that are not great. But overall, so far, like, what I've been playing, I've been enjoying. And that speaks to the game itself. Like, there's a lot of strengths in it. So gameplay-wise, I don't really have to say much on this. It's the same gameplay for Destiny the first. And I know you're probably looking at the game going like, oh, he's not doing anything interesting, he's just driving around. I'm trying to do one of the missions, challenges. Challenges are new little things that they've added in that are essentially, I don't know, kind of akin to the old bounty system, but with a little bit more. And that's one thing that I actually take a little bit of criticism against, is that all the things that they've added, in certain extent, seem very video gamey. What I mean by that is that, whereas in the last game, like, you had bounties and all this that were in the tower and you could go do, this one kind of goes, oh, these are challenges, and these are flashpoints, and these are this, and these are that. And it's like, well, it ruins the illusion that you're not playing a video game. Which I find is very hard for a lot of games to sell. It really is. It's hard for a game to sell that is not a video game, because you have to get involved in the world. Another thing that I've noticed with the game is that, just like most games, it's kind of a just run, shoot, kill, move on. I will say that this game works surprisingly well to actually give you reasons to do all these things, but I still wish there was certain context. Like, in the first game, there was a little bit more of an establishment of, like, why these enemies are here, what they're doing there. Even if there wasn't a lot of story context, there was a little bit of context that they gave to them, like, oh, the Hive are on the moon because they took over the moon, and the human beings just let it fall to them. So there was an established reason for them there. There's an established reason for the Cabal on Mars. There's an established reason for Vex on Venus. Whereas in this game, it just kind of goes, they're all just here. Like, the Cabal are everywhere because they're taking over everything. For some reason, the Fallen are everywhere, despite the fact that, you know, they're more scavengers, so you would expect them to stay where they're comfortable, which is Earth. Granted, they were on Venus in the last game, but still, there was some context provided to all that. And I miss that to a degree, that we were given specific context for why the enemies were here and why these enemies hated each other. But the story elements and the adventure stuff really does sell the game a lot better than the first one. Criticisms that I can start giving... I'm going to talk more about the praise that I have on this game, but I am going to talk about some of the criticisms that I have. So, criticisms are that they've changed the shader system, which if you've looked anywhere online, I'm sure you've seen such hatred for that. Which I understand. I totally get. It's kind of bullshit that they've gone, oh hey, well we're going to give you limited shaders. I understand from the way their perspective of what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so all the people who, I guess I already got that. All the people who had played the game and enjoyed the game will keep coming back because they want to get these shaders, they want to get extra of this, they want to get extra of that. But from a player's perspective, it looks like a cash grab. It really does. There's not really much of a way to escape that it feels like a cash grab when you're saying, like, oh, we're limiting something that used to be everyone could have. How do you kind of come off and say, hey, we're not doing that? Because no matter what you say, that's the impression you're giving. Especially when you had a system that worked in the last game. Like, there was no reason to change the shader system from the last game in this game. There's a couple of changes that they made from the last game into this game that just don't make sense. I'm not crazy about the way they did the... here, I'll show you, actually. And you might consider this minor spoilers. I do apologize if that is the case. But look at how the class trees work. Now, it'd be really cool if I could combine elements from this one down here to this one up here, but you pretty much have to choose. Like, if you go, oh, hey, I want to have Rising Storm with Transcendence and this, you can't. You have to go one way or another way. And to me, that really limits customization. I'm not trying to shit on the system, but it really does limit what you can do in terms of variety of your customization. Now, I know that might not be the intent, but I do think that, to an extent, they know that their audience isn't like the big audience anyways. Like, I use this in big terms. Their core audience isn't into big RPGs where there's a lot of skill trees, kind of like a Diablo type thing. But I really think that that is a mistake to not try and pull in some people like that, because those are the people that want to stay with your game. The people who are just here for PvP will leave when a new PvP game comes out. Because the PvP in this game isn't, like, phenomenal by any regards. It's interesting, it's fun sometimes, but it's also irritating. And there's way better games in terms of PvP, and especially now that they've... Something that I don't like, and I've noticed this with the game so far, is they remove the ability... I'm playing like shit, I'm trying to talk and also do this. The one thing that they removed is the ability to choose any story mission that you want. Now, I don't understand this, because in the last game, I really didn't want to play the story missions because they were honestly pretty garbage. It was the same thing over and over. Take Ghost here, get him to do this. Oh, hey, he's done this. Now just do this. It was always the exact same thing, over and over and over and over again. And it was not interesting. It was not fun. Whereas this game, there's a lot of like instances in the campaign where I've enjoyed it. Like, truly, I've enjoyed what happened. I was like, oh, I would definitely go back and play that. But they've removed the ability to do that.
Then you must have been quite intimidating.
What they've done is, apparently, I haven't got there quite yet, but what I've read enough of is they've added meditations, which is essentially getting a character, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but getting a character who is key to the story to just give a meditation to relive choice ones a week of the story at a higher difficulty. The game no longer allows you to select the difficulty of your missions, so if you were like, oh, this was kind of easy, I would love to play it on heroic or something like that, you can't. You have to go hope that that mission is in the meditations and do it that way, because it amplifies the difficulty there. That, to me, kind of is a step backwards. It really is. The system was already fun. It didn't need to be changed. I feel like it's a lost... It's lost some of that fun. So if you wanted to do that, you really can't. What else? See, this is the one issue with doing a live review. You're trying to think of all the things that you've experienced. Lost Sectors, which was something that was touted a lot before. Just going completely off track for 1 second. There was a mention in an article a long while ago that there was 80 missions in the game. Like, there was a ridiculous amount of content. Like, you would never be wanting for content. That was not 100% true. Clearly. The main story, which I haven't completed, I will tell you that. The main story is 17 missions. The actual missions are somewhere between 20 and 40 minutes each. You know, that it varies based on how quickly you do something. I'm not going to say it's going to take every single person 40 minutes to complete the same thing. Like, some people will finish it in like 10 minutes, some people will finish it like they'll finish it quick. They can finish it quick if they just run through it. If you're actually sitting there and enjoying it, it'll probably take you longer. If not, then, you know, it's going to be quick. It's enjoyable, but it is quick. Now, where these 80 missions are coming from, which I still can't really confirm the number, but they're incorporating in adventures, which are smaller missions that you can take on the planets, which, I'll admit, they're fun. They are a lot of fun. They've also improved public events quite a bit. Public events now, you can, if you do something specific in the public event, you can turn it into a heroic public event, which makes it harder, makes it more difficult, adds in like new enemies and stuff. It's actually surprisingly fun and involved. The public events have been upgraded like no one's business. See, I think this is a part of getting the heroic ones. You have to shoot those vents. So public events have been improved. The main story has been improved. The adventures are actually surprisingly fun, and it's not just a go here, go there. They vary it. But I was told patrols were changed, and they really haven't. They're kind of the same old patrols. Oh, shit. I was shooting the wrong thing. Patrols haven't really changed. They're kind of the same thing again. That's fine, because there's enough content on the other side of things to keep you busy. But the reality is, it is kind of the same thing for patrols. There's a lot of fun stuff to do here. Like, there is so much more in this base game than I think even in, like, Taken King and everything that was involved there. Ah, shit. So there is that. There is, like, having way more content is absolutely awesome. And I've been enjoying it. Like, I've been playing this game for the last 3 days, and I've kept myself busy by doing other things. Like, I've been playing public events. I've been playing some of the adventure missions, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. Like, to me, they've improved this game tenfold, which I never thought I would say. I never thought I would sit here and be like, I am enjoying the hell out of Destiny 2. I was one of those guys when the game came out that I was just like, this is gonna suck. This is gonna be a piece of crap. It's gonna be the same thing over and over and over again. I guess we didn't get the heroic version. That sucks. Oh well.
Yeah, get your rig out of here.
One
cabal fleeing with tails tucked. Well done.
One thing that I actually don't like, and I feel was a misstep on their part, was that your Guardian no longer talks. He didn't talk that much. He or she did not talk that much in the first game. I'll grant you that. But to remove their voice entirely, to me, there's a bunch of points where it feels really awkward. And your ghost is constantly talking. It's just like, I really wish my Guardian would talk. I understand the reasoning behind it. But in this day and age, to not have a character fully voice acted is lazy. It really is. Like, there's a bunch of companies who did the whole, oh, well, you know, your character is you, so it's gotta be no voice, because how are you gonna make it, no, it's you? Oh, I'm the character, so I know it's me. I would like my character to get pissed off.
Keep a sharp lookout.
I would like to hear their concerns about the whole thing. See, that's cool. So, I really wish that they had kept what they did in the last game, where your character talked. He may not have talked much, but he did talk, which they pretty much removed in all the DLC, mind you, but I feel like it's a missed opportunity. Again, I understand the reasoning behind it, but I can't get behind it. Let's make this thing heroic. So there are things that you can do in these that make it heroic. Again, just for example, that for this specific one, you can explode those to make it heroic. Yeah, I'm going. This is the worst part. I keep saying this, but I'm going to say it again. This is the worst part about doing this live because I'm kind of all over the place. So if you're watching this review, thank you for watching it. I'm trying to provide as much context about the game as I'm thinking about it, just so I'm giving you the right impression. Again, I enjoyed this game. I genuinely did. I thought they did a great job with certain things. It remains to be seen how I do with the end game. But like with the first game, by now I had already rerun strikes over and over again because I had to level up so that I could finish the campaign, and I was already by this time starting to get bored and like wondering what's next. And this was before the raid even came out, and I was kind of like, oh well, come on, there's got to be more to the game. Like you're gonna do this, because the following week after the raid was when they did the Queen's Bounty, which, as we all know, was well received by everyone. Ah, shit. They didn't get that one. Damn it. Oh well. But the Queen's Bounty, like, came out and everyone was pissed off about that. That one I understand getting mad about. Because that was an absolute shit show. The Queen's Bounty was a missed opportunity, but with this game it seems like they're rectifying that by trying to give more and more content. Some of it is disguised as just the same old song and dance, but for the most part it seems like they are genuine in trying to rectify the mistakes of the last game. Remains to be seen a little bit, but I like to believe that they are trying. Enough that, you know, I gave this game a chance. I can't even hit this stupid thing. Yeah, leave me alone. Sorry. I'm trying to do this while also talk about the game and review it.
There goes the drill. Yeah.
Damn it. Did not get the heroic. Oh well. But yeah, that's kind of my quick little review of the game. I do think it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. Whether or not there's more and more content that they kind of divvy out. I think a really cool thing that they could have done, which I really hope that someone in their team mentioned it, was if they had made like an overabundance of these little adventure missions and then just started divvying them out as free content over the weeks. That would be such a good idea. Like, not selling it to people, but like making like 200 of those adventure missions, and then over the weeks to the next DLC, just releasing like 10 or 20 a week. That would make it so people have stuff to continually do each week and feel like their investment in the game is being paid off. Like, it's just getting ahead of yourself with the amount of content and making sure you have an overabundance of it. Sometimes that's a little hard, but I think it would really benefit this game to consistently keep content coming. Because you look at other MMOs and RPGs, and they have a lot of content. Like, don't get me wrong, though, I understand... Oh, for fuck's sakes, I'm playing like crap. I understand that other games have, you know, the repetitive grind. It's an expectation of games like this where it's kind of an MMO-type game. But, having said that, despite the grind, they usually keep people with things to do. Even if they're, like, bullshit missions, they're still different missions. Or at least from a user perspective, they're a different mission. Maybe those guys pissed off. Oh, no, they didn't. Hey, you're back. Come here. Thank you. You sons of bitches. One more criticism. Here, I'll tell you in a second.
I believe this means a resource grab.
Yeah, of course it does. So, one criticism I do have to lobby is the one that we've heard from a bunch of people. In that they have made it so that the Sparrow is not something that you can actually... Like, there's no Sparrow mission to actually get a Sparrow. You have to hope to get one from like a bright engram drop, which only drops after you come to level 20, or you can buy it from the Eververse. The Eververse, once again, is, in my opinion, what makes this game start to get on my nerves. God damn it. It does not, it can't disguise itself as anything but what it is. It is a cash grab to try and keep the flow of this game going. Now, I understand that, but most games that do it keep content coming. They do a slow drip of new content, and then when they do an expansion, the expansions are actually what they sound like. They expand upon the game. Destiny, the first game, The Dark Below and House of Wolves were the biggest rip-offs I have ever had the displeasure of purchasing, because I hoped against hope that they would be good, and they were terrible. The only redeemable thing about The Dark Below was Crota's End. The quick campaign of that was absolutely terrible. House of Wolves was even worse. Narratively, it was trying to right some wrongs, but it still was pretty poor. Taken King. Taken King was okay. I still think that when you're doing a huge enemy like that has this unlimited power, to have him be beaten so quickly and not to have any real threat, to me is a misstep. Like, it is a huge misstep to constantly have shit like that happen where it's a quick beat of the enemy. And from what I understand, that was, I didn't even pick up Rise of Iron, but that was the problem with that. Like, they talk about Siva being this huge destructive force, and it ends up just being like 4 or 5 missions, and it's like, oh, we beat Siva. That's kind of bullshit. Like, it should be an epic. There should be some imminent threat to the tower. I watched the gameplay for that just to see if I should buy it, and I didn't feel that. Admittedly, I watched the Wrath of the Machine raid, and it looked cool, but it was really short. And for me, $40 on either the Taken King or either the Taken King or Rise of Iron is just, that is too much. There's not enough content to warrant $40.
They blew up their own drill getter.
Then you must have been quite intimidated.
And that's my honest opinion on those. But I feel like I've gone on long enough in regards to how I feel about Destiny, how I feel about Destiny 2, how I feel about all of that. I do believe that if you enjoyed the first Destiny, or were kind of apprehensive about where Destiny was going, or, you know, you enjoyed it but then you got bored of it, this game has a lot more content to offer. I do think that it could be righting the wrongs. I still think Luke Smith is kind of a douche, but this seems to be rectifying it. And I know I just said Luke Smith is a douche, but I think that he's been trying to right the wrong of Destiny since he did Taken King, because he was the guy who did was the designer, I believe. Don't quote me on that. On the Vault of Glass, and so he worked on Taken King as the director, I believe, or creative lead, and then took over as a director of Destiny 2. And he has done a great job of pushing things forward. But I do think that him as the face of the company and as the guy who goes out and promotes the games is a bad choice, because he constantly... I think it's just how he is, but he constantly puts his foot in his own mouth and talks about gamers in a very... I don't think he means it, but sometimes he talks about them in a derogatory way where we just throw money at whatever. Now, sometimes he's right, but it's kind of inappropriate for a developer to say something like that. But I do think he's done a good job here. I think that with him at the helm, the game could progress forward. I do think the worst thing that happened to Destiny, though, was the firing of Joseph Staten, who wrote the original Destiny, but they didn't like what he did, so they eventually just decided, oh, we're going to just scrap that, put the story that he wrote into the grimoire, and then just try and cobble everything here together to form some sort of campaign, which is why most of it doesn't make sense, because all of it was supposed to be in the original game. But whatever. That's the end of my rant. That's the end of my review. Hope you enjoyed. If you do, you should check out my music on here. I do a lot of music, and I'm going to try and do some random gaming content when I can. So, until then, take care. Have a good day. Peace.